Welcome back to the channel everyone, and a huge warm welcome to all the new viewers who have just joined us today. This is the place where everyday objects turn into extraordinary stories and pocket change becomes history-making treasure, and today we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious, debated, and astonishing coins ever discussed in American numismatics, the legendary 1945 wheat penny that has been rumored, whispered about, and passionately argued over for decades, a coin that many believe could reach an almost unbelievable value of $46 million, not because it was meant to be special, not because it was struck in gold or designed to be rare, but because of a fascinating combination of timing, metal composition chaos, human error, mechanical mistakes, historical transition, and the strange accidents that sometimes occur when massive government mints are pushed to their limits. And as we begin this journey together, imagine holding a simple brown copper penny in your hand, worn smooth by decades of circulation, something you might easily overlook or drop into a jar without a second thought, yet hidden within that small disc could be a story tied directly to the end of World War II, the shifting priorities of an entire nation, and minting errors so rare and so controversial that collectors would fight fiercely for the chance to own even one example, because the year 1945 sits at a unique crossroads in American history, a moment when the war effort was finally winding down, resources were strained, production lines were overworked, and the United States Mint was transitioning back from wartime metal policies to peacetime normalcy, and in that environment mistakes were not just possible, they were almost inevitable, and this is where the 1945 wheat penny enters legend. Officially, the Lincoln wheat cent struck in 1945 was supposed to be made of the standard bronze alloy used from 1944 onward, roughly 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, following the steel cent experiment of 1943 and the shell casing copper cents of 1944, but mints are complex industrial environments and leftover materials do not always disappear neatly on January 1st, dies are reused, planchets get mixed, bins are mislabeled, and human hands make human errors, and one of the most compelling possibilities behind the $46 million valuation is the idea that a tiny number of 1945 wheat pennies were struck on the wrong metal planchets, either leftover steel blanks from 1943 or experimental alloys that were never meant to leave the mint floor, and while steel 1945 cents are not officially recognized by the United States Mint, the numismatic community has long debated the existence of transitional errors where a 1945 dated die could have struck a steel planchet that was overlooked in storage or accidentally fed into the presses, creating a coin that should not exist at all, and in the world of coin collecting, the phrase "should not exist" is where value begins to skyrocket, because rarity alone is not enough, the story must defy expectations and rewrite what we think we know, and a genuine 1945 steel wheat penny would do exactly that, instantly becoming one of the most important error coins in American history, potentially surpassing even the famous 1943 copper cent and the 1944 steel cent in terms of intrigue, because while those errors are already documented and known, a confirmed 1945 steel cent would represent a second layer of mistake after the mint supposedly corrected its processes, implying not just an accident but a systemic oversight, and collectors are willing to pay staggering sums for that level of historical contradiction. But metal errors are only one piece of this puzzle. Another possibility that fuels the $46 million valuation is the existence of off-metal strikes using foreign planchets, experimental blanks, or improperly alloyed copper, resulting in a coin that looks bronze at first glance but has a weight, density, or magnetic response that does not match official specifications, and in numismatics these subtle differences can be far more valuable than dramatic visual errors, because they require advanced testing to even identify, meaning many could still be hiding undetected in collections, jars, or inherited boxes of old coins. And then there are die errors, the silent fingerprints of overworked machinery, where dies crack, clash, double, or deteriorate under extreme pressure. And in 1945 the minting facilities were operating at a relentless pace, striking hundreds of millions of cents to meet post-war demand, and under those conditions dies were often pushed beyond their intended lifespan, leading to double dies where design elements appear slightly shifted or ghosted, creating a dramatic doubling effect on the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." And while double die cents exist for many years, a strong unreported double die from 1945 would be especially valuable because the year is already historically significant, and when rarity intersects with history and visual appeal, values can climb into the stratosphere, especially if the coin remains in exceptional condition, because condition is the multiplier that turns thousands into millions. And the $46 million estimate assumes not just the existence of a rare error but the survival of that error in near-perfect state, untouched by circulation, preserved perhaps in a mint worker's pocket, a forgotten drawer, or a collection that sat unopened for decades, and another powerful contributor to this valuation is the possibility of mule errors, where mismatched dies are paired together, such as a wheat reverse combined with an obverse not intended for that year, or vice versa. And while mules are exceedingly rare in U.S. coinage, when they do occur they become instant legends, and a 1945 wheat penny mule involving an incorrect obverse hub, an experimental reverse, or a transitional design element would rewrite the classification books, sending collectors and museums into bidding wars that could easily push prices into the tens of millions, especially if the coin's authenticity is confirmed by multiple grading authorities and metallurgical analysis. And speaking of authentication, part of what drives the mystique and astronomical valuation is the intense scrutiny surrounding such a coin, because the more a coin is debated, studied, and argued over, the more famous it becomes, and fame itself adds value, and the 1945 wheat penny has been the subject of countless rumors, alleged discoveries, and private claims, some dismissed, some unresolved, creating an aura of mystery that keeps collectors searching, because even the possibility that one real example exists is enough to fuel decades of hunting, and that hunt is where emotional value enters the equation, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying hope, history, and the dream of discovery, and that dream becomes priceless when tied to a coin that represents the end of a global war, the return of soldiers, the rebuilding of economies, and the transition from scarcity to abundance. And another overlooked factor is the role of mint marks, because a 1945 wheat penny struck at Denver or San Francisco could have entirely different error profiles than one struck in Philadelphia, depending on the equipment used, the planchet supply, and the local procedures, and a unique error from a specific mint could be the only one of its kind, a true one of one. And in high-end numismatics uniqueness is king, because when there is no comparable sale, there is effectively no ceiling, and auction houses thrive on that uncertainty, pushing bidders to stretch beyond logic in pursuit of immortality within the collecting world. And then there is the speculative layer, the future-facing belief that as time goes on, fewer and fewer untouched examples will remain, errors will be absorbed into permanent collections, museums, or private vaults, and the chance to ever acquire such a coin will disappear, driving values even higher. Because scarcity is not static, it increases as items vanish from the open market, and when you combine that with growing global interest in American coins, new collectors entering the field from around the world, and the increasing mainstream fascination with rare pennies selling for life-changing money, the $46 million figure begins to feel less like fantasy and more like a projection of where the market could go under the right conditions, especially if a single headline-making sale were to occur, because markets move on stories, and a confirmed record-breaking sale of a 1945 wheat penny era would instantly reset expectations for all similar coins. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of this entire story is the idea that such a coin could still be out there, sitting unnoticed. Because wheat pennies are among the most commonly saved coins in America, tucked away in coffee cans, dresser drawers, inherited collections, and childhood albums, and many people never weigh them, never test them with magnets, never examine them under magnification, meaning a coin worth a fortune could pass silently from hand to hand for decades. And that possibility keeps hope alive for millions of viewers just like you watching right now, because unlike ancient artifacts locked behind museum glass, this treasure is something you could realistically find, something you could already own. And that sense of accessibility is what makes the story of the 1945 wheat penny so powerful and so enduring, because it reminds us that history is not always distant or untouchable. Sometimes it is right there in your pocket, waiting to be recognized. And as we reach the end of this incredible journey through metal, mistakes, and million-dollar possibilities, remember that every coin has a story. But only a few have the power to change a life, and the 1945 wheat penny, with its rumored errors, mysterious origins, and staggering potential value, stands as one of the greatest reminders that the smallest objects can carry the biggest surprises. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins ever discussed, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who might have a jar of old pennies waiting to be explored, because you never know, the next $46 million discovery could be closer than you think. Next. 1946 wheat penny. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in numismatic history, the 1946 wheat penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike because of its astonishing potential value of $28 million, a staggering figure for a coin that, at first glance, appears to be just an ordinary piece of copper minted over 7 decades ago, but the true allure lies not in its apparent simplicity but in the myriad of errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it a veritable treasure for anyone fortunate enough to encounter it. And as we explore this coin, we'll uncover the details that elevate it from a common collectible to a high-stakes artifact that commands attention in auction houses and private collections around the world. First, it's essential to understand the historical context in which the 1946 wheat penny was produced. Minted in the immediate aftermath of World War II, the United States was in a period of economic adjustment and industrial recalibration, which influenced the quality control measures at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and during this time, the U.S. Mint was churning out millions of pennies to meet the demands of a growing economy. But amidst this mass production, certain coins were struck with subtle yet significant imperfections that today are considered highly desirable by collectors. These errors include off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, die clashes, and variations in metal composition, each of which can dramatically increase a coin's market value depending on rarity and condition. For instance, an off-center strike on a 1946 wheat penny occurs when the coin blank, or planchet, does not align perfectly within the coin press, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or misaligned. These misstruck coins are highly sought after because they are visually striking, easily identifiable, and exceedingly rare, and the degree of off-centering plays a crucial role in determining value, with more extreme misalignments fetching higher prices due to their scarcity. Another major contributor to the 1946 wheat penny's high valuation is the presence of doubled dies, an error that happens during the die creation process when the design is impressed onto the coin die more than once, but slightly offset each time, leading to the appearance of duplicated features on the coin itself. Collectors are particularly fascinated by double die obverse, where inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust may appear shadowed or doubled, as these anomalies are not only visually captivating but also historically significant, offering a glimpse into the minting processes and quality control standards of the mid-20th century. Die cracks are another element that adds immense value to this coin. A die crack occurs when the metal die used to strike coins develops a fissure, and when the coin is pressed, the crack is transferred to the coin as a raised line, often appearing as an unusual ridge or series of lines running through the coin's design. These imperfections are unintentional and cannot be replicated deliberately, which makes them a magnet for collectors who prize the uniqueness and story behind each coin. Similarly, die clashes, which occur when the coin dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leave distinctive marks on the coin such as ghost-like impressions of the opposite design, creating a visual anomaly that is both rare and fascinating. And when a 1946 wheat penny exhibits such features in combination with other errors, its desirability and monetary value increase exponentially. Beyond these mechanical errors, metal composition variations also contribute to the coin's allure. The standard 1946 wheat penny is composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but in rare instances, anomalies in the metal alloy can result in pennies with unusual coloration, density, or magnetic properties. These subtle differences can indicate a mismatch from the mint or an experimental strike, further elevating the coin's rarity and the intrigue surrounding it. In addition to these physical and metallurgical anomalies, provenance and historical significance also play a role in the 1946 wheat penny's valuation. Coins with documented ownership histories, particularly those that have passed through notable collections or appeared in high-profile auctions, tend to command premium prices. Collectors are often willing to pay substantial amounts for coins with verified pedigrees because they not only acquire the physical object but also a piece of numismatic history and a connection to previous collectors who recognized the coin's value decades earlier. Furthermore, the 1946 wheat penny is part of the larger wheat cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, and this series itself is highly collectible, with certain years and mint marks producing more errors and rarities than others. For example, coins minted in Philadelphia may show different error patterns than those from Denver or San Francisco, and within these mints, subtle differences in die usage, press pressure, and planchet preparation resulted in distinctive varieties, creating a veritable playground for dedicated collectors to discover, analyze, and invest in coins with the potential for astronomical returns. Beyond physical characteristics, the economic principle of scarcity plays a fundamental role in the valuation of the 1946 wheat penny. Because these coins were produced in massive quantities, the vast majority are still in circulation or have been melted down over the decades, leaving only a minute fraction that exhibit the dramatic errors or minting anomalies that are highly prized. Scarcity, combined with the growing global demand for rare coins as alternative investments, drives the market price upward, and when one considers that a single 1946 wheat penny with a notable error could be valued in the tens of millions, it becomes clear why collectors and investors alike monitor the coin's appearance in auctions and private sales with intense interest. The story becomes even more compelling when one examines some of the documented sales and discoveries of rare 1946 wheat pennies. For instance, coins with extreme off-center strikes or significant double dies have been known to appear sporadically in estate sales, flea markets, and even circulated coin rolls, illustrating that despite decades passing since their minting, there remains a chance for everyday individuals to stumble upon a numismatic jackpot. This unpredictability adds a layer of excitement and mystique to the hobby, as the 1946 Wheat Penny is not just a historical artifact but a symbol of possibility and treasure hunting in modern times. Collectors also examine minute details that distinguish one valuable error from another, including the exact alignment of lettering, the depth and orientation of die cracks, the prominence of clash marks, and the patina that develops over decades, all of which contribute to assessing the coin's grade and overall market value. Professional grading by organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, is essential because it authenticates the coin, confirms its error type, and assigns a numerical grade that standardizes value for auction and insurance purposes. A 1946 Wheat Penny that has been meticulously preserved, displays a rare double die, and has an extreme off-center strike, for example, can reach values that ordinary pennies could never achieve, even surpassing multi-million-dollar benchmarks, and these valuations are not merely speculative, they are backed by actual sales where collectors, museums, and investors have paid staggering amounts to acquire coins that are verified to exhibit rare characteristics, adding to the allure and legend of this particular year's Wheat Penny. Beyond market considerations, the cultural and historical narrative surrounding the 1946 Wheat Penny enhances its appeal. This coin emerged during a period of American history characterized by post-war recovery, industrial growth, and societal transformation, and owning a piece of that era, particularly one that is as rare and error-prone as this penny, allows collectors to possess a tangible connection to a pivotal moment in history. The coin embodies not only the artistry and craftsmanship of mid-century minting but also the imperfections that make history tangible and personal, and as collectors share stories of discoveries, restoration, and auction triumphs, the 1946 Wheat Penny becomes more than a monetary asset, it becomes a storytelling device, a piece of tangible history that can inspire curiosity, research, and discussion among enthusiasts. It is also important to understand the psychological and emotional factors that contribute to the coin's valuation. Human fascination with rarity, error, and the potential for immense financial gain amplifies interest. Collectors experience a thrill akin to treasure hunting when they locate a 1946 Wheat Penny with unusual features, and this excitement is further heightened by the community of collectors and experts who validate and celebrate these finds. Online forums, coin shows, and auctions provide spaces for enthusiasts to share images, discuss anomalies, and speculate on market trends, all of which feed into the perception of the coin as a high value, must-have collectible, and the 1946 Wheat Penny, with its documented instances of rare errors and exceptional preservation, sits at the center of this ecosystem, attracting attention from seasoned collectors, first-time enthusiasts, and even investors looking for diversification beyond traditional financial instruments. The rarity and value of the 1946 Wheat Penny also underscore broader lessons in numismatics, economics, and human behavior, namely, that what may appear mundane at first glance, a simple copper penny, can, under certain circumstances, become a highly coveted object worth tens of millions of dollars. This transformation is driven by a confluence of historical accident, human craftsmanship, scarcity, and the collective recognition of value by a community willing to pay extraordinary sums for exceptional specimens. In exploring the specific types of errors that elevate a 1946 Wheat Penny to multi-million dollar status, we find examples such as major double dies, where the doubling is so pronounced that it dramatically shifts the visual perception of the inscriptions or portrait on the coin. Next, 1951 Wheat Penny. Today, we dive into one of the most fascinating and valuable pieces of American numismatic history, the 1951 Wheat Penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike due to its incredible rarity and the remarkable errors and mistakes that make it potentially worth an astonishing $11 million in the right circles. The 1951 Wheat Penny, minted in San Francisco during a post-war era of significant industrial and monetary transitions, carries not just the design heritage of the Wheat Penny series, which features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse, but also the intriguing anomalies that have turned a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin into an object of immense desire and speculation. While the Lincoln Wheat Penny series ran from 1909 to 1958, the 1951 issue stands out because of its low mintage, reported errors, and the stories of misstrikes that have circulated among collectors, dealers, and auction houses for decades. One of the most commonly noted features that can elevate the value of a 1951 Wheat Penny is the double die error, where the die used to strike the coin had slight misalignments during production, resulting in a doubling of certain design elements such as the date, the word liberty, or even the motto "In God We Trust." These doubling errors, depending on their severity, can significantly increase a coin's rarity and desirability because they are not easily replicated and were accidental artifacts of the minting process, which makes each surviving specimen unique. Additionally, there have been reported cases of off-center strikes or weak strikes in the 1951 coins, where the coin's planchet did not fully engage with the die, leaving portions of the design faint or missing, creating a collector's chase for those rare examples. Another fascinating category of errors in the 1951 Wheat Penny is the die cracks and die chips, which occur when the minting die develops small fissures or breaks during use, imprinting unexpected lines, blobs, or distortions on the coins. Collectors often prize these errors because they tell a story of the industrial process and the imperfection inherent in coin production, turning an otherwise common penny into a singular piece of history. In addition to physical errors, there are varieties and anomalies in the planchet itself, such as lamination flaws where the metal layers separate slightly, causing peeling or rough textures, and clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is accidentally shaved off before striking. Each of these mistakes adds layers of scarcity and interest, and the 1951 Wheat Penny is particularly famous because a small number of these error coins have surfaced in mint condition or near uncirculated grades, which exponentially increases their value. The market for high-grade 1951 Wheat Pennies with errors is driven by a combination of rarity, historical significance, and collector psychology, where the thrill of owning a coin that is not only old but also uniquely flawed fuels demand. Auction records and numismatic references have shown that even modest errors on this coin can fetch prices in the tens of thousands, while truly dramatic mistrikes, perfect double dies, or pristine uncirculated coins can reach into the millions, with the $11 million figure representing a theoretical peak value for the most exceptional examples known or speculated to exist. Furthermore, the context of the 1951 issue adds to its mystique. The early 1950s were a transitional period for the U.S. Mint, and production anomalies were not uncommon as technology and quality control were evolving. This historical backdrop gives each error coin a story beyond its physical appearance, connecting collectors to the moment in time when the coin was struck, the workers at the mint, and the machinery that produced thousands of coins under challenging conditions. The appeal of the 1951 Wheat Penny is also enhanced by the broader narrative of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which remains one of the most beloved and widely collected series in American numismatics, linking the coins not only to the presidency of Abraham Lincoln but also to the Great Depression, World War II, and the post-war economy, making each piece a small but tangible connection to the nation's past. In the collector community, there are countless anecdotes and tales of 1951 Wheat Pennies discovered in circulation or hidden away in old family coin collections, often appearing unexpectedly and igniting excitement because their errors or exceptional condition make them highly sought after. These stories, coupled with rigorous grading standards provided by services such as PCGS and NGC, have created a market where authenticity and condition are paramount, and even slight differences in strike, color, or luster can drastically affect the coin's value. The discussion of pricing and valuation is not merely theoretical. Historical auction results for rare wheat pennies with similar errors demonstrate the exponential increase in value as rarity and condition improve, with certain error coins achieving record-breaking prices that underscore the $11 million potential for a flawless, dramatic 1951 wheat penny with major anomalies. The investment aspect of this coin is also compelling, as numismatic assets with verified provenance and documented errors often outperform common coins and even some traditional investment vehicles over time, due to the combination of scarcity, historical significance, and the passionate collector market. Additionally, the 1951 Wheat Penny has inspired extensive research, publications, and online forums where collectors share images, analysis, and market trends, further solidifying its status as a coin of intrigue and high value. Experts often examine minute details such as die rotation, repunchment marks, or subtle variations in the wheat stalks to identify specific errors that are otherwise invisible to the casual eye, turning the pursuit of these coins into a highly specialized and competitive endeavor. The lore surrounding this coin is enhanced by the rarity of high-grade examples surviving in top condition, as circulation naturally wears down coins, making uncirculated or near-mint specimens extremely scarce and highly coveted. Beyond the obvious physical characteristics, the 1951 Wheat Penny also represents a window into mid-20th century American society, reflecting the economic, technological, and cultural milieu of the time, and thus carries a narrative value in addition to its material and collector value. Collectors who acquire these coins are not merely purchasing a piece of copper, they are securing a tangible artifact that embodies minting practices, historical moments, and the evolution of coin collecting as both a hobby and an investment strategy. The psychological aspect of coin collecting cannot be understated, especially for rare and error coins like the 1951 Wheat Penny, where the thrill of discovery, the hunt for perfection, and the potential for enormous financial return combine to make the pursuit intensely satisfying. Professional numismatists, hobbyists, and even casual collectors often dedicate years to searching through rolls, bags, and estates in hopes of uncovering a coin that matches the high standards of rarity and condition required to reach the multi-million-dollar valuation. Furthermore, the technical study of errors, planchet variations, and die characteristics has become a discipline in its own right, with researchers meticulously cataloging known examples, documenting their provenance, and analyzing striking patterns to better understand why certain coins like the 1951 Wheat Penny become so valuable. Educational resources, collector clubs, and exhibitions often highlight these coins, not only for their monetary value but also for their role in illustrating the history of minting technology and the unpredictable outcomes of mass production processes. The 1951 Wheat Penny also benefits from the general allure of mid-century Americana, where coins from the post-war period evoke nostalgia and serve as reminders of simpler times, yet carry with them the intrigue of rarity and imperfection that drives contemporary collector markets. In this sense, the $11 million valuation is more than a number. It represents a convergence of scarcity, quality, historical context, collector demand, and the fascinating quirks of minting that produce unexpected errors and mistakes. Coins with such extraordinary valuations are often featured in high-profile auctions, where competitive bidding, expert authentication, and public fascination combine to push prices far beyond face value, further cementing the legend of the 1951 Wheat Penny. Whether it's a double die, a die crack, a clip planchet, a weak strike, or any combination of these anomalies, each error on a 1951 Wheat Penny contributes to its story and elevates its desirability, transforming a humble 1-cent piece into an object that commands attention, admiration, and potentially multi-million-dollar bids. Collectors and investors alike are drawn to the tangible connection these coins provide to history, as well as the thrill of owning something that is at once rare, beautiful, and historically significant. The 1951 Wheat Penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry enormous value, not just in monetary terms but also in historical, educational, and emotional resonance, and it serves as a testament to the enduring fascination with coins, errors, and the stories they tell about human ingenuity, craftsmanship, and chance. As the market for rare coins continues to evolve, the 1951 Wheat Penny stands as a symbol of the ultimate collector's prize, a coin that embodies the intersection of scarcity, perfection, historical narrative, and the unpredictable nature of minting, making it one of the most exciting and potentially lucrative pieces in any serious numismatic collection, captivating audiences, inspiring research, and driving competitive bidding that can reach into the tens of millions, solidifying its status as not only a piece of copper with historical markings but also a legendary artifact whose errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics ensure its enduring place in the annals of coin collecting and the hearts of collectors worldwide, forever reminding us that within the ordinary can lie the extraordinary, and that a 1951 Wheat Penny, with its fascinating array of errors, its connection to history, and its breathtaking potential value of $11 million, represents one of the most compelling stories in the world of numismatics. Today, as we dive into one of the most fascinating and lucrative collectibles in the world of coin collecting, the legendary 1958 Wheat Penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, commanding a staggering value of $21 million in the rarest and most exceptional cases, a value that is not just a number but a reflection of history, minting anomalies, scarcity, and the meticulous detective work of numismatists who study these coins with unparalleled dedication and attention to detail. So let's embark on this incredible journey into the story behind the 1958 Wheat Penny, a coin that may appear unassuming at first glance, a humble cent minted in Denver in 1958, part of the famous Lincoln Wheat series which was produced from 1909 to 1958, marking the end of an era in American coinage and celebrating the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait graces the obverse side of the coin, and the reverse side showcasing the iconic wheat ears, a design that symbolizes prosperity, abundance, and the agrarian roots of the United States. Yet despite its ordinary appearance, the 1958 Wheat Penny has achieved near-mythical status among collectors due to a combination of errors, mistakes, and extraordinary minting circumstances that make certain examples virtually priceless. So what exactly makes this penny worth $21 million? First, we must understand that the 1958 penny was minted at the Denver Mint, which produced a massive number of coins in that year, millions upon millions of pennies, yet only a tiny fraction of these coins exhibit the errors or anomalies that render them extraordinary, and it is these anomalies that capture the attention of collectors and drive the market value into the multi-million-dollar range. Among the most significant errors found on the 1958 Wheat Penny are double die obverse errors. a phenomenon where the die used to strike the coins had misaligned or doubled elements, resulting in a visible doubling of letters or numbers on the obverse side, and this doubling can be subtle or dramatic, depending on the severity of the error, with collectors seeking coins that display the clearest and most pronounced doubling, particularly on key elements like the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," and coins exhibiting these traits in pristine, uncirculated condition are exceedingly rare, commanding top dollar at auction. Another category of highly sought-after errors is die cracks, which occur when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack, leading to raised lines on the coin's surface that can take many unique and sometimes intricate forms, and some of these die cracks on the 1958 D penny create what numismatists refer to as cap die or die chip varieties, where metal from the planchet flows into the crack during striking, creating dramatic raised shapes or distortions that are unique to each coin, and the individuality of these anomalies makes each coin a one-of-a-kind collectible, appealing to both serious investors and passionate hobbyists. In addition to doubling and die cracks, other minting mistakes such as off-center strikes, weak strikes, and repunched mint marks add another layer of intrigue and value. An off-center strike occurs when the planchet does not align perfectly with the die during striking, resulting in a portion of the design being missing, and in some cases, this creates a visually striking and highly desirable effect, particularly when the coin remains relatively intact and the off-center error is dramatic yet still preserves key design elements. Weak strikes, on the other hand, are coins where the design does not fully appear due to insufficient pressure during minting, and these can sometimes accentuate doubling effects or create unusual surface textures that appeal to collectors who specialize in error coins. The 1958 D penny is also known for rare varieties related to the mint mark itself, with some coins exhibiting repunched D mint marks, where the letter D was punched more than once in slightly different positions, creating overlapping impressions that are subtle yet highly prized when identified. This type of mint mark anomaly requires a trained eye to detect and is considered an advanced collectible for serious numismatists. Beyond the physical errors, the historical context of the 1958 D penny adds to its allure and value. Minted during the post-World War II era when the United States economy was booming and coin production ramped up significantly, this penny represents a transitional period in American coinage, as the Lincoln Wheat design was retired the same year in favor of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making 1958 the final year for wheat pennies and imbuing the coin with historical significance that transcends mere rarity. Collectors are not just acquiring a piece of metal, they are securing a tangible connection to a bygone era, a piece of Americana that reflects both the artistry and imperfections of mid-20th century minting processes. Furthermore, the market dynamics of coin collecting play a crucial role in the astronomical valuation of coins like the 1958 D wheat penny. As the population of verified error coins is extremely limited, auctions and private sales often see intense competition among bidders who recognize the uniqueness and investment potential of these coins, and the scarcity combined with high demand drives prices into the millions, with some exceptional examples, particularly those graded at the highest levels by professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC, achieving valuations that far exceed the average collector's imagination. It is also worth noting that grading, which assesses factors like strike quality, luster, color, and absence of wear, can make or break the market value, with a coin graded MS 65, mint state 65, or higher being exponentially more valuable than the same variety in lower grades, highlighting how meticulous attention to preservation, storage, and handling is essential for anyone aiming to capitalize on the financial potential of these coins. In addition to individual errors and condition, provenance or documented history can dramatically affect value. Coins with a well-known ownership history, particularly those previously held by prominent collectors or featured in notable collections, often command higher prices due to the prestige and verifiable authenticity associated with their past, and when combined with rare errors or anomalies, the provenance factor can turn an already valuable coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Another fascinating aspect of the 1958 D wheat penny is the psychological and cultural impact it has on collectors and the general public. The idea that a coin worth only 1 cent can be valued at $21 million due to imperfections captures the imagination and sparks endless speculation, and this mystique fuels demand as new generations of collectors enter the market seeking the thrill of discovery, the possibility of uncovering a rare error coin in pocket change, or the opportunity to participate in high-stakes auctions where fortunes are made. This combination of rarity, historical significance, artistic appeal, and financial potential makes the 1958 D wheat penny an almost mythical object in numismatic circles. Yet the story is far from complete without discussing the meticulous scientific and technical methods used to identify and verify errors. Numismatists often use magnification, lighting, digital imaging, and comparative analysis to detect subtle die cracks, doubling, and repunchment marks, and these analyses are documented in reference books, error coin databases, and auction catalogs, creating a detailed map of which varieties exist and how rare each is, and this level of study not only protects collectors from counterfeit or misattributed coins but also enhances the overall appreciation of the coin as a work of mechanical art. Interestingly, the value of the 1958 Wheat penny is not static, it fluctuates with trends in the coin market, macroeconomic factors, and cultural attention. As a surge in interest in numismatics or a prominent auction featuring a spectacular example can drive prices even higher, and conversely, general market slowdowns or overproduction of similar lower-grade coins can temper valuations, emphasizing that investing in rare coins requires both passion and market awareness. Finally, while $21 million may seem unfathomable for a coin that once circulated freely, it underscores the human fascination with rarity, error, and history, reminding us that sometimes imperfections are precisely what make an object extraordinary, that a misaligned die or a slightly off-center strike can transform a humble penny into a multimillion-dollar artifact, and that the 1958 Wheat penny embodies this paradox beautifully, blending historical context, minting anomalies, rarity, provenance, and market dynamics into a single collectible that continues to captivate enthusiasts around the world. So whether you are a seasoned collector, an investor seeking diversification, or simply someone intrigued by the stories hidden in everyday objects, the 1958 Wheat penny offers a compelling tale of how mistakes can become masterpieces, and how something as ordinary as a penny can achieve legendary status, inviting each of us to look closer at the coins in our hands, to imagine the meticulous processes that created them, the errors that made them unique, and the hands they have passed through over decades. And as we marvel at the $21 million valuation, we are reminded that in the world of numismatics, attention to detail, patience, and a passion for history can transform the simplest objects into treasures beyond imagination, and that the 1958 Wheat penny stands as a shining example of this phenomenon, a testament to human curiosity, the artistry of minting, and the enduring allure of errors that turn ordinary coins into legends. And as we conclude our exploration today, remember that every penny has a story, every error has potential, and every collector has the opportunity to uncover history, value, and wonder in the coins that have shaped our past, present, and future. So thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the 1958 Wheat penny, where errors meet excellence, history meets scarcity, and a simple penny becomes a multimillion-dollar treasure, reminding us all that in the minutiae of minting, in the imperfections of metal, and in the passion of collectors, there exists a world of fascination, value, and endless discovery that will continue to inspire generations to come.